on the Zoom today. Okay.
That's okay. You're on voice on phone, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So welcome everybody. Today we are at the Brightside Club. We meet every Monday at 8 p.m. and every Wednesday at 2 p.m. And I have today a topic that many of our businesses have requested, and we've wanted to do this topic for some time, is how do you have an effective sales meeting? And as many of us know, time is everything. And in a day, you could just waste the whole day and never make a sale. And part of it could be that you just didn't send out an invoice, or you didn't send someone a quotation, or you didn't have a sales meeting. And sales meetings are so essential, and you need to have 4 at least a day in order to close a sale by Friday. So if you're not effective with your sales meetings and you're not effective with your time, you have a real problem, and your business is not going to succeed during this COVID season. So today I have a distinguished panel to talk about this topic with me, and I would like to just let you also know that when you have such fantastic online automation and new technologies, and if you're not embracing these, then you're not going to make your sales this year. So pay attention to this session. It is extremely important that we get stronger and better during COVID, because we have time on our hand now to really perfect our business models and the way we conduct our businesses. And if we use this time wisely, you will see a great spike in sales. So today I have Carmelle Corter. I hope I pronounced your name right. And we have Douglas Sterling. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then Elton Brewington will be joining us shortly. So Carmelle, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. And then if you can give us some tips on having an effective sales meeting, that would be great.
Sure. Well, first I want to say thank you for having me on. I love getting on platforms where I can just empower, people to really better themselves. So thank you for inviting me on. I'm Carmelle Cottrell, for those of you that don't know. I am a money coach for busy moms, and essentially what I do is I help strengthen their mindsets and their
On the thing. No, come on to the computer.
so that way they can scale their wealth, they can shift their mindsets and conquer their goals. So that way they can sit on their throne of happiness. I'm a career financial strategist. I've been in the game for about 15 years. I've worked for America's major retailers, which I know all of you guys have frequented on a daily basis. So today I have led top leaders in these retail environments, and essentially
Keynote speaker.
I've we got some people joining in. Come on in, guys. Today, I've led my teams to deliver over $1 billion in top line sales. So I definitely know what it is to propose a financial strategy, to have them not get approved, and to propose it again. I think one of the biggest things that we need to make sure when we're having these sales meetings is that we're qualifying the people that are getting on our calendar. And I think we really need to come from a mindset of, one, you're creating relationships. So you made a point, Elizabeth, that was really important about, you have to talk to these people, and you need to have multiple calls. And it takes multiple touch points. But before you get on these calls, you need to make sure that you're not wasting your time, and that you're qualifying these people, that they are in fact your ideal client. And not everybody's going to be your ideal client, and that's okay. It's important to create these relationships. And I like to, people fall into 3 buckets. There's connectors, there's people that you're collaborating with, and then there are people that are your clients. So you want to understand who you're talking to and where do they fall in those buckets. And that way you're not really wasting your time with someone that isn't a client for you. It might be helpful to understand, someone is a connector and they can connect you to your ideal client. Or if someone is going to be a collaborator and, you guys have ideal audiences and you can share and work from that capacity. So I think it's very important before we jump on these calls that you understand who you're speaking with and which buckets that they fall into. That would be one of the first points that I would start off with. And then, another thing that I see is in these meetings is that we don't really have an agenda, right? Like, what is your call to action? What is the purpose of the call? Are you just trying to get some market research? Are you trying to pitch your offer? Are you trying to understand if they're an ideal client that's ready to buy now? So really having a strong agenda to make sure that you know what you're going for, and then you immediately execute to that agenda. So I think those would be the first things right off top that I would recommend for someone, making these calls and ensuring that your calendar is filled with conversations because the cash is behind the conversations. So it's important that you're having the right conversations with the right people to make sure that you're using your time effectively.
Very good, very good. Again, greetings to all. I'm so sorry. I'm just getting here. Technology, what can you say? I'm reminded by a friend of mine who must have went through 8 devices to finally get on. So you have to always be inspired to do such a thing. So greetings. I'm so happy to have you all, so happy to see you all. And it's a very important time. And these, Carmelle, I thank you for your comments there. They're very important about being tenacious and also, qualifying your clients and qualifying prospects. And, a sales meeting has so many different dimensions to it. And, and it's evoking in all its regards. I'm reminded, and I practice the philosophy of this story. I won't take it much, but I want to get to everybody on board. But this philosophy is so important. And I'm reminded about the story of a psychologist who wanted to study the makeup of children. And so there were 2 little boys, and he put one little boy in a room full of toys and left him for a while and came back within an hour and a half. And the one little boy was frustrated in the corner, pouting, crying, upset, because he couldn't decide which toy to play with. And he was just so upset about it. Then he placed another little boy in a room with a ceiling high of manure. Just manure from the floor to the ceiling. Left him alone, came back about 2 hours later, and the little boy was in there digging, just going through it. And so the psychologist said to him, so what are you looking for? He said, with all this manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. So when you're going through sales contacts and prospects, and you've got to go through a lot of it. And, and you have to keep the perspective. And sometimes you won't discover that your contact is really a great prospect until after discovery. Talking with them, understanding what their needs are, purifying their objectives. And then all of a sudden you discover, and you are just about ready to toss them in the bin. And then you discover, wow, well, you got this we can use. Or this is something we really should talk about it. And that's something that they have maybe discarded as well. So in the process of an efficient and good sales prospect, and sometimes you just meet people, they don't fall in the right category of a good prospect or like a sales customer, but they're good friends. And they could lead you to referrals that add great value. Sometimes, it could go different ways. I've discovered, and I've sold it all. And so my first job out of college, I sold custom clothing, custom tailor-made clothing. I had some of the best friends, professional athletes, lawyers, doctors, and then we got to be really good contacts. But the point of it is, how do you manage an effective sales meeting? How do you set it up? Who's your contact list? Who's your prospect list? Making the phone calls, understanding who their people are, and also cultivating. And when you've made good friends, you'll get great referrals. And those referrals are priceless. They're priceless. So, you know how that goes, and managing your time is a very important aspect. And so, that's one thing that can get out of control so fast, managing your time. And so, especially when the Zoom call doesn't work. But, progressively, we're here to learn from each other. And we hope this circle of interaction can add value to how we all can create and cultivate good quality sales presentations and good quality presences. And so, I want to make sure that, and I've had some really interesting experiences when it comes to great customers, small customers, no customers, good friends and contacts and referrals. And, when you look at this experience that we're cultivating, and also all of this will prove to make us better. And, I had a sales manager tell me once, said, listen, don't skip over a yes. When the customer says yes, put everything aside, shut all conversation down, and seal the deal. Seal the deal, put it in ink pad and in your post. Make sure you put that in the bag. Because you as sales reps, we can probably go through. We said, yeah, we'll come back to that. No, stop everything. Seal the deal. Make sure that's in the bag right away. So I want to bring Donna in. Donna, you have the tenacity and the capabilities and the understanding, and you can add great value to us to show us an inspired perspective. Now, Donna's a real go-getter now. Donna's a real go-getter, and I admire you and your tenacity and a brilliant mind, and I can, when you're talking to, I can see her wheels turning. that may not be something you want everybody to see or know.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes.
Yeah. Taking notes to keep
on. Carmelle said, I'm taking notes on what she said, So, and just to kind of add some additional layers of what we're talking about here about sales meetings, Carmelle, let me introduce myself really quickly, and likewise, you tell me just a teensy bit about you, because I got in here just a couple of minutes late. I'm a retired military officer. I served in the United States Air Force for 30 years, and I'm really proud of that, as you can tell. So first thing I told you about myself. And as for my second career, I'm now with New York Life. I actually help people with a variety of financial issues, whether it's with their life insurance, preparing for, say, a long-term care event where they have to have money set aside to take care of them. And then I also do a full range of financial planning, IRAs, 401ks, 529 college plans for kids, all those kinds of things that families need to think about. But oftentimes it gets a back burner. But those are the kinds of things I help people with. And just yesterday, just to show you an example of how things fall into your lap, it fits what you were just saying perfectly. I had gotten a call from a gentleman last week, and he said he wanted to meet with me because his family needed some life insurance. I said, okay, it's great. I said, how did you find out about me? Because, he wasn't on Facebook or LinkedIn or any of the other mechanism where I might have seen him. He said, we have an Aflac insurance guy at work that does our health insurance. And he said New York Life would be good for life insurance. So here is some unknown other insurance agent who sells some different product has told this guy, well, hey, I don't do life insurance, but call those guys. So this gentleman just calls a 1-800 number, and somehow he gets filtered over to me because I'm within, 20 miles of where he lives. So, sometimes things just fall into our laps. God provides, these kind of things that fall into our laps. And I helped him, and, they're very happy now. But to go to your point about these connections, collaborators, and clients. So what I got yesterday was the benefit of a collaborator I never met. Now I'm going to call my client back tomorrow and say, what's the name of that Aflac guy? I want to get to know him because I can swing business his way and he can swing some business my way. He already has. So I benefited from his knowledge of my company, not knowing me. And then a lot of times I have tons of connections on LinkedIn. I've got something like 13 or 14,000 people I'm connected with on LinkedIn. Now, how many of those I actually know? Probably a very small fraction. So I need to cull through my LinkedIn connections and find out which of them are close enough to me that I might actually be able to meet them in person or have some kind of relationship with them. Because when you have that many connections, a lot of them may be, not very likely that I can bump into them or have a real relationship with them. But I do need to go through that and cull those down. Facebook's been on and off for me in terms of connections or business. Because, Facebook's really a place for people to, put personal information and, get people to, look at them and what they're doing. So I don't have as much luck with Facebook. I know a lot of women's businesses rely on that. I'm not finding that much traction with Facebook. Now, clients, of course, I've been blessed to have the company sometimes provides me with leads. Someone will dial a 1-800 number and will ask for information about life insurance, and someone takes on all their information, and then the company will beam me a lead because I'm the closest agent to where that person has called in from. But those are sparse, and sometimes they're, sometimes we'll go onto a website or call a toll-free number, but then when you actually reach out to them, they go cold on you. They're not as interested as you thought they were. I don't know why. They get kind of spooked when a live person actually calls them. They get kind of spooked. But that being said, so here's where I seem to find my best sources to do sales meetings. I go to a lot of events. Now this year that's been challenging because of COVID. So blessedly, Claire developed this online group and has these online sessions that have replicated the kinds of events I did in person, whether they would have been women's events or just local festivals of some kind where I could meet people. And I've gone to everything like farmers markets. Now, what does a farmers market have to do with life insurance? Absolutely nothing. But it's a place where lots of people congregate and you can get in front of them. You can set up a little table. It costs almost nothing. They'll come by your table and they'll see that you don't have any apples or peaches sitting there. They go, well, who are you? Why are you here? Oh, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So sometimes I'll get a few leads from something as innocuous as just a local festival. So, but I'm very grateful that Claire developed this group for us to get to know each other because we cover a lot of business topics. We've had authors. We've had a gentleman that played music and shared his love of music and his passion for a lot of different things in his life. We've just run the gamut of things that, people are interested in terms of what appeals to them from a business perspective or even a personal perspective. So I'm glad she invited you and that we're having this topic about sales meetings because it's always awkward when I call that cold lead that's out there that the company gave me and I have no idea who this person is or what they called about. I just know that somebody at New York Life said call this phone number, and it's always a very touchy thing to get started with. But if you have suggestions on that, let me know because those can be very tense for me to call a completely blind lead and not know anything about them. I'd rather have met the person and call them later because at least I know who they are. I met them at some event or I've met them through Claire's sessions, but those completely cold call people, that's a touchy one. So I'd be interested in your perspective on that. So thanks for letting me rattle on for a little while.
Very good.
I want to commend you on your...
One second. Douglas, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Douglas. Okay, if you don't mind, I'm just skip right to you because he has to run
He
to
has
the call.
to leave,
So just if you can make a slight intro, production, and
Oh, I'm terribly
Douglas
sorry.
Yeah, sure.
No, it's okay.
Let's go.
Douglas, just go quick.
Yeah, sure, no problem. It was good hearing some of this information. I actually have a team that deals with this. I'm actually the executive vice president of the company, so I don't necessarily drill down into that. Our business is more of how people consume content. Lightcast, what we do, we're an end-to-end digital media distribution. So if you have content, whether it's live content, VOD content, or audio, when you upload it to Lightcast, it goes to every platform out there with one click, from all of your social media, your Roku, Fire, Android, Apple, your mobile apps. With one click, it gets instantly published on all platforms. So we're more in line with how people consume information. But I would have to say that what Elton said about referrals, I do get a lot of contacts who just are not a good fit for what we do, but they certainly fit into our affiliate program. And some of my best clients have come from affiliate partners who have nothing to contribute to my company other than, if you're doing this, if you're streaming, which everybody does nowadays. Our business has probably quadrupled, in the last 3 months because this is what everybody's doing now, and it's how they consume it. And with Lightcast, with a one-click solution, whether you're on your mobile phone, you're on a tablet, big screen in your living room, computer, web apps, with one click, it gets published to all platforms. So it was good to hear everybody. That's certainly some good information that I take away from that as well. Mm-hmm.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Douglas. Sorry we had to kind of work you in, but Douglas is a great contact to know, especially when it comes to streaming Streaming is amazing direction and territory. I know, Donna, you're getting, the high speed is a challenge, but with streaming, your content access is enormous. If you have an appetite, we love movies. I love science fiction. I love, perspectives on that kind of thing, and I can stream. My video screen, my media screen now has become this huge, it's like a big screen. It's like jumbotrons, and with information and data and material. It's amazing.
There's a lot of financial companies. There's a lot of financial companies that have their own Roku, Fire, Android, Apple TV. You'd be surprised how many financial networks are on OTT.
Wow! We have a client that we're working with for you, Douglas, and he's overseas, and we're trying to work our program with him. And so it's amazing, and we have to conjoin with our perspectives about discussions, the platform. Now, I'm a Dale Carnegie graduate. I'm a trainer, and so when it came to sales meetings, they have constructed or reduced the sales meeting to almost 20 different pieces to it. 20 pieces to an effective sales meeting. Now that's a lot of pieces, but in the point of it though is you can and you write out the box, whether they become customers, they become partners with referrals or friends, or you mutually agree that you'll never have anything to do with each other again. It's a contractual relationship. You've decided on that. So it's amazing. And now we have come into a time professionally, and such methods as Zoom. Now, I don't think professionally we'll ever, even with COVID, you'll ever replace the personal meeting. There's no way to do that. You'll never replace the personal meeting. What Zoom has done is giving you a further access to meet, discuss, relate, identify, and determine what next steps might exist in your correlation of activities. And also, I think the ocean between countries is getting smaller and smaller because we're able to meet and speak and talk to people internationally. The only difference may be language. Maybe language. I mean, with people who understand it. English is the largest spoken language in the world. And so as long as people can speak English, you can decide that you agree with a perspective, you understand the perspective, and you can take steps with it. So I encourage us all to take an understanding as well as an analysis of what we can do. And so let's do this. These 5 bodies here today, let's agree that we can take a consensus about perspectives together that might add value for each other in business. And also by understanding each other's core business ideas and each other's core business principles, we can take steps to ensure that we're even greatly evolved, in terms of a maturation of where we are. And I consider myself able to learn from everybody under whatever condition. The other day we presented before a whole town. Now, I don't think I've ever had to do that before, presented in front of the whole town. It was amazing. It was really amazing. It was very welcoming, but it has its drawbacks. But, we gave a great presentation, and I thought the approach was to be, you remember Phil Donahue. I'm trying to be Phil Donahue, right? Well, I'm probably dating myself with that. But but Phil was the best open candidate to talk to everybody and understanding everybody's issues. Now that only led to a conglomerated. Everybody got a complaint. And when it comes to the city, everybody got big complaints about the city. So, but we got through it. It was amazing. So, but what I'm saying here, this is a great opportunity as more and more people consider what next steps they should take, what next steps they should consider, and also understanding your potential client, what their issues are. And when you can really when the client can really begin to let their hair down, because that's the biggest step to actually getting an understanding between you and the client. When the client starts to talk, especially a shy client who doesn't have much to say, but then they begin to open up to you and tell you how they feel, what the problems are. And, you know, of course, as long as you keep it conditionally business, you know, that we are here to solve these problems. And so you tell me what the issues are. If I don't know the solution, I'll find a way to help you solve the problem that way. So as a consensus, so we're represented in this meeting by 4 categories. We've got the media, we got distribution of media and marketing, we got finances, and we got stability or insurance products. Those are 4 essential management conditions for a stable and balanced life and family. So how do we conjoin those initiatives in a way that everybody profits? We become sustainable, we become stable, and our principles of business are distributed wisely, and we have great messaging. Also, we have another speaker on board, Esther. Esther, she comes to us from, how can I put it?
She's written a book. Esther, can you tell us your experience selling your book? How you sold copies of your book?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'm glad you asked that question. Well, it is amazing how once you get the word out about the book, first of all, and then you get people's idea like screws in their head just turning, you know. Well, okay, I either want to find out about it, I want to purchase it, you know, if they have the chance, then here I am, I'm passing my book out, giving it out. My God, I've given over half of them away, you know. And the thing is, it's so powerful to me because I identify with everyone. And when I'm out doing book signings, you know, sometimes I have a chance to express myself, and sometimes I don't. But this group here is just wonderful because it gives me a chance to be known, you know. And I'm always struggling for the, you know,
Yes.
what are those words, the word I'm trying to use. But the main thing, it's just wonderful when I can get a chance to tell what it's about. Now, you don't have time today to hear, most of you already know, but just understand we all need encouragement, you know. So it's time for encouraging ourselves in the Lord. It's good, yes, but we need to help one another. And that's what I'm talking about. I heard so much today, and it's just powerful because we do need to come together and know one another better to keep from challenging each other. You know, I mean, it's just a beautiful thing to me, this group of women and men. I appreciate you very much. God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless you,
Thank you, Esther. We appreciate you, too. Esther has an interesting way of, you know, keeping us on the right details. You remember, it's all about us collectively, and I appreciate her spirit for that. And those who know about her book, you know, you should make sure you reach out to us, and we'll make sure that you can, you know, have access to get a copy of it. And so with that,
that actually cues me in that next Wednesday we are having an author collective. In fact, we've got, I think, 10 authors attending, and we will be doing marketing a book. And so Est is going to be one of our authors, and I think we had 13 authors that we featured. So we're trying to get all of them to attend next Wednesday. So next Wednesday, we'll be talking about marketing books. So if you want to join us for that, we'd love to have you.
I also have to say that Claire has been given the privilege to present to NIH, National Institute of Health. And we were at NIH about 4 years ago, and we had the privilege to meet Mr. Anthony Fauci.
Yes, we did.
We actually met Mr. Fauci. Brilliant mind, brilliant mind. And he, at that time, he bragged about the fact that he served under 6 presidents?
No, 4.
4 presidents, and he knew them very well. And,
he served under George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr., he served under Bill Clinton and Obama, and he said he had never served under Donald Trump, so I guess now that
I'd be curious again to see what his responses were.
Yeah.
But Mr. Anthony Fauci, brilliant mind. And so, but Claire will be presenting to NIH, and it's a significant model for presenting. And Each one of us brings a brilliance of capacity and also growth. Now, what it means to grow. Now, many people now reach a point of terror, probably because they're wondering. I mean, it's a tough situation. Actually, I did a problem-solving initiative with the business group last night, and we were talking about how can you preserve wealth? How can you develop wealth under conditions that we're in today? And what are some unique and possible problem-solving skills you can utilize? Which is where we're at now. People are terrorized about that. How do I get to the next platform of preserving my wealth, developing my wealth, and continuing to grow under COVID? And I think it's quite possible. But of course, you have to be strategic, and you have to be informed, and you also have to find unique forms using different instruments to be able to do that. And so this is and also you must be tactical. You must be tactical. And so we're delighted to have you two lovely ladies with us to tell us about that. And also, Douglas, you have added great value for us distributing our business model type, around the world. Now, just so you know, and I think we covered everybody, but Douglas has a process that you can reach 560 million people around the world with your prototype business model and approach. Now, that means overnight you could become a celebrity. Overnight you could become a branded celebrity with your product, your approach, but you also need to have an international model that could speak to people globally. And now many people are frightened to take the message globally, but I'm telling you, there are people around the world that they love, and they love all things American. All things American. What that means, if you have a product or a service that you think other people would like to listen to or benefit from, don't be afraid, don't be shy, consider that prospect. Now, America's a great model market itself. So how do you reach more Americans? 300 million Americans in America. So, and there must be at least 300,000 people who are looking for you. 300,000, the minimum, 310%. 300 million people, 300,000 people are looking for us. And so how do we shorten the distance between where they're at, what they need, and how we could deliver service? And I don't know what 300,000 people would do for your economy if you had 300,000 new customers. I mean, think about it. If I had 300,000, okay, that means I'm retired. I'm retired. Now, I don't mean that because I love what I do. Yeah. So I'm not retiring anytime soon. But so I'd love to get everybody's time in.
So as a moderator, I want to just have everybody on the group to answer Elton's question first, and then we'll answer 3 questions, which will be, what are your top tips for effective sales meetings? And then we can close. But the first question is, what would you do if you were marketing yourself on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and you actually got 300,000 customers? What would you do? So let's start with Carmelle, because we have to think big.
Phone calls, make a phone call.
Or make it phone calls. What would you do if you got that moment?
I'm interested in what you say.
Yeah, and it's possible with the internet. It's possible.
It is definitely possible. 300,000 is a big number. That would definitely, I would be from the perspective of, one is, what do I want to do? And what do I want to serve, right? Where is my zone of genius? And where can I add the most value? I think sometimes we get so excited with people coming to us that we're like, sure, we'll take everybody, right? But not everybody is meant for you, right? And when we try to serve everyone that really we shouldn't be serving, the results aren't the same, right? Depending on what your business is, whatever your business model is. Now, from the perspective of, let's say you are a clothing store, maybe 300,000 is great because somebody can come and find a size, right? But from the perspective of like me and my business, 300,000, like if they're men, they're really not my ideal client, right? So really, you know, I want to work with people that I connect with. So even though I have 300,000 people coming in, they may not be the right 300,000. So really, you know, honing in on who that ideal client is and who can you best serve, right? I think that's the biggest thing that we need to remember is to be of service and who can you best serve. And sales is part of service, right? But you want to make sure that you're serving the right people. So 300,000 people are coming in. Chances are I'm not going to work with all of them because I'm not going to be able to deliver the top results that they want. And I want to be able to transform my clients, and not everybody's going to be able to, or ready for that transformation. So I am going to be funneling that down. So, you know, really qualifying those people. Are those the people that I really want to work with? So they might meet, you know, the check marks on the, you know, on the list. They might sound right on paper, but if the vibe isn't right, you know, I probably won't take them on because there's probably going to be a red flag. And then later on down the line, I've got a client that I really don't like anymore, right? So I would definitely, from the perspective of funneling that down and who do I want to work with? Who can I best serve? So I would think would be my first thing of like, okay, who can I find that I can deliver the best service to, making sure that I can really connect with them and then really, you know, give them the end result. Like I would hate to tell someone that I can deliver all these transformations, but they're not really the right fit, but that I take their money anyways. And then they're going to say my method doesn't work, right? Because there was those red flags that I ignored because I was like, ooh, 300,000, right? So I would say that would be the first thing is who is your ideal client? Who can you really deliver those transformations for? And then from that, that's what I would really work on. I think it's important to really funnel it down because, you know, there's certain people that we're meant to connect with. And then there's others that we're supposed to say, you know what, we're not a good fit. Let me, you know, pass you over to somebody else. And that's why it's so important. Donna, you brought that up about finding out that person, you know, that brought that, you know, that lead to you. Because you can say, I'm not the one for you, but I know someone else who is. And that's another way of being of service. I think it's one of the most important ways to say, I'm not going to waste your time. Let's not waste each other's time because I know where I'm sitting right now. It's great. I know that you've got money in your pocket to hand over to me, but there's not a right fit. And I want to make sure that I can deliver the results to my people because I know my method works, but it's not for everyone. So really from that perspective, honing people out. They just don't belong in my community, right? And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think if you really lead with love and service to say, I'm not the right fit for you. We wouldn't connect. I won't be able to deliver those results. We're not a good fit, but I can pass you along to someone that I know. And I think that's so important too. 300,000, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of connections. It's a lot of relationships. I can refer people out, right? So I would want to know, like, Donna, you've got 14,000 people. You've got a lot of connections, right? Not all of them are meant for you, but what you put out there, your content, you know, that starts to funnel it down. You start to make those connections and you can start to see like, I would really work well with this person. You know, this is the person that I want to like spend time. This is who I want to pour into. And I think quality is so important because then that's what creates raving fans, right? Those referrals, right? When you keep your customer service level high, it comes back and it pays dividends. Now I see like certain business owners, you know, if they don't want to pay money, you know, they cut them off and they're rude and, you know, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. You know, right now they may not be a good fit, maybe later on down the line, especially Donna, what you service with insurance, you know, sometimes people aren't in that season, but if you continue to give them that customer service, they'll come back around, you know? So I think that would be my first thing. 300,000, not all of them are for me, but there is going to be one. I am going to be able to create relationships and say, you know what? I know Donna. Donna, she can probably hook you up with some knowledge. I'm not the person for you, but I can refer you to someone else. So I would say that would be the first thing that comes off the top of my head, 300,000, that would be my answer.
Very good. That's very good, though. Very good. And Donna, what's your perspective on that?
What would you do if you had 300,000 leads or customers?
Well, after I had that heart attack when someone told me I had 300,000 leads, or they somehow ended up on my inbox, I'd have to probably hire an assistant or a couple of assistants to help me look through this massive set of leads and start funneling them down, just like what Carmelle was saying. I'm probably not suited for all of them. I'm best suited for someone who's, probably in Virginia, North Carolina, and Texas. That's where the preponderance of my clients are, because of my family all being in Texas. I get lots of good referrals from my family, but most of my business is in 3 or 4 core states, So if I see somebody's from Hawaii, I don't know. I mean, I have one client out in Hawaii, but I've never met the gentleman. I've only Skyped with him. So, I need to go visit that guy, by the way. But I'm not going to discount those guys. But, I'm going to give my first priority to sort of a geographical distribution for me, because with insurance, like a lot of things, it's heavily regulated by FINRA. So I can't reach out to people in other states unless I'm licensed there. So I'll probably just cull the list down by geographical area first, just to make sure I'm not wasting my time and someone else's time if they live in Montana, that kind of thing. And then I'll start to look at, kind of where these people are grouped, men, women, the demographics of them. If I can figure that out from the list, I don't know what kind of list I have. And then from there, I like the approach that, that Carmella was saying. She says, I may not be able to help all these people. Maybe what they really need is what Carmella does, and I can give her a referral. So that first contact is going to be hugely important, because I have to get some information from them, and I have to do it very, very quickly, because I got a lot of them to get through. So I might have to do a multitude of different ways of contacting them. Some messaging, some phone calls, a few emails if I have all this information, and then I can start, slowly, funneling them down into a group that I know I can work with. So I think for me, it's going to be an organizational problem of organizing who's there and what they really need. And just from a, FINRA standpoint, can I even reach out and touch them, because I'm licensed in their states, and can I do business with them? So that's kind of how I'm going to approach the task. And I love what she said also about, even if I can't service that person, I'll find someone who can. A lot of times when I sit down with a new prospect, I realize that, what they really need is not something that I'm the best at. So I give referrals to lawyers, other insurance agents, other financial planners. I have a whole host of other people I work with in the local area. And if I'm not the best person, I'll tell them, hey, what you really need is a lawyer. You don't have an insurance problem, you have a legal problem. So let me get you over to my best friend, Joe, who's really a great lawyer. So I'm not opposed to, moving someone to another person if I'm not the best person. I like what Carmella's approach was. So anyway, that's kind of a long explanation, but for me, it's going to be organization, geographical, kind of an initial touch of them, just to kind of figure out who they are, and then take it from there in terms of setting appointments. So
that sounds terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Now Esther, what would you do if you had 300,000 people that called you?
Well,
Ordering your book.
For your book, ordering your book.
Well,
what would you do? Send them to Amazon.
Okay, honey. First of all, what I'm thinking about is, to tell the truth, is I have to have an advice manager. Now, what this is for helping me to help to keep up with whoever these people are, to see the legitimate. I mean, it's the investigate the legitimacy, their intent, and etc. To help the research on them even. Yeah, but the main thing is we have to touch and agree. Someone like, I'm just thinking about the further sales that we can, it's not being greedy, but I'm thinking of the Great Commitment, the Great Commission, that we have as ministers. Okay, I'm just thinking how to build it all up, how the Lord's will is. That is what I'm looking at, because it's not being greedy. He said, go ye into all the world. So in other words, we just have work to do, and he will show us how, and how many, wherefore, and all that. So I'm just thinking is to reach the masses, however he deems the masses to be. And and it shall work. I'm sure. Now that's the 3,000. You said 300,000. Is that what he said? 3,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm just a believer. That's all. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just here. Yeah, at His will. I'm a believer. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Is Douglas still there?
No, he's
Douglas
gone.
is gone.
So I am a believer too, like Esther. So I embrace and welcome 300,000 leads. I would be thrilled and honored to have it. When I started doing the club and going on Facebook, I was terrified. I thought of all these crazy people that I was going, and I did attract a lot of spam for sure. But what I realized, even with the spammers, is that there is a connection out there. And if we just have a closed mind and just, delete all these leads, you never know when you're going to get a major sale. For example, I had this anonymous person with an anonymous name, an anonymous email, and she turned out to be one of my best customers from Scotland. And she just didn't, because she was scared of spam, she just had a ridiculous email and she had a ridiculous fake name on Facebook. So she didn't want anyone to know who she was. So she was covering her identity, but in the end, she turned out to be a very good customer for me. So I think that we are living in crazy scammer world. And I think all of the suggestions made were great. So what I have done is I have a Google number. And the Google number goes straight to my inbox, and I get emails for everybody who calls me. I'm going to try to put a questionnaire on my website so that I find that people get frustrated with me because I take too long to respond. So I'm updating my website now so that all I have to do is send people a link. Here's your speaker registration. Here's the information here's the media kit. And once I get that automated, I think I could save myself time in responding, and I could get everybody to register and get qualified through a questionnaire. And then when I have a person that clicks, I want to buy, at that point, I go and I make a sales meeting, and then I can close the sale. Because I think we have to ask that question, are you willing to make a purchase in the next 6 months or the next month? And that's how you qualify whether that person is 3 things. 1, they have the money. 2, they want to buy from you because they might like your services, but then they might find someone else who does what you do. And so they must buy from you. And 3, you should close the sale, because the time you put into a sales meeting, like we put 3 days into this meeting to the town hall. And, so the thing is, you have to manage your time effectively, and because sales meetings cost us money, because every time I have to put a slideshow together, I have to take the time off what I'm doing to present. I'm taking time off what I'm normally doing. So you have to say that this sales meeting has to close, and these are the areas that I need to do, and effectively have that meeting and that conversation, which is, are you going to buy? And this is my price. Are you willing to pay? So I think that is the most effective part of a sales meeting, and at the end you can close. So you have to send out the quotation quickly. So that's my tip. So on to
well, now I'm gonna tell you, it's unanimous. Everyone would try to manage the process, but each of us takes a different approach. And Carmen, you would triage, which is great. Pick and determine and decide. Toss if you don't need it or if it works. Try to get through it some kind of way. And Donna, you create a referral process, which is great. If there are people and systems that you can refer and determine how they fit into that category. And Esther, you would analyze. You can determine, what kind of process do I need to follow, and Lord will tell me how to pick and choose in that regard. But I wouldn't toss everybody. And Claire is going to plow through them. I'm going to do a little bit of all of that. I'm going to do a little bit of all of that because I like the idea of triaging, because, you don't want to waste your time and you want to add value if you can. Now, 300,000 people is a lot of people. And actually, the combination of triage plus, if they're out of category, you can talk to them, you like them, and you reach them, it's good. But now the referral process could be enormous too, because if you create great connections like you guys and create a referral fee so that if they bought, you got a return back. Who knows? So 10% of 300,000 could be $50 million. So, and then an analysis. Esther, you were right on point too. That you need to analyze your process. Are you getting people in and out and evaluating whether they're good or not? That's a good way to go. And Claire's process, plowing through it. Got to find a way to get through it. Because there's a pony in there somewhere. There's got to be a pony in there somewhere. So, I mean, we never know how things will come to us. We never know how things are going to come to us, but we can be victorious in the process. And don't exclude this. Don't exclude the medium, because all of a sudden, if your phone started to ring and you were getting inquiries that met the right protocols, the values can be tremendous. And we want to make sure, because I mean, it's not about you just feeding you and your family, but how many other families can you feed? How many other families can you make profitable and productive? And if you got a vendor list that makes that's worth $1 million, $2 million, how many people is that connected to? That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. So, I mean, it's not just your connections, it's the people that you're connected to. And 300,000 people, how many vendors can we actually help and support? That's enormous. I mean, so if you got lawyers and other agents and people that you can connect to, I got these customers, want you to talk to, tell me how it goes and it works. Just kick me a referral fee. They may pay for all your foundation work. Every foundation that you support, you can cut them a check freely without reservation. So let's think in terms of this. Let's consider what prospects there exist between our connections and find a way to add value to other people so that, because our wheels are turning. And the wheels are going to turn now. Sooner or later, this COVID switch is going to go on, and you're going to need to run. You're going to need to run.
Yeah.
And so I'm encouraged by all of you, everybody on the call. And I hope this call has been inspirational and it's insightful and offering. And don't count the 300 out now. What's that movie, 300? Don't count the 300 out, because you never know what can happen. You never know what can happen,
So with that, I think we're going to close. I'll just run through the room if you want to give your 5 tips for effective meetings, or smaller than that. And once again, introduce yourself, because I am recording this and someone may have caught the video in the middle of the video. So you want to just tell them who you are and how they can reach you, and then we'll close. So Carmelle.
Hi, everyone. In closing, my name is Carmelle Cottrell. I'm a money coach for busy moms. I strengthen their relationships and their mindset to money, transforming them from frugal moms to cash queens so they can live on their throne of happiness. I'm a financial strategist. I've been in the game about 15 years, working for America's major retailers, developing top leaders and executing lucrative financial strategies. You can contact me at bellejulz.com, www.bellejulz.com. You can also find me on Facebook as well. I have a free private Facebook community for women, shifting our mindsets, conquering goals, and making money moves. I would say the top tip of effective sales meeting is understanding who you're talking to. Are you talking to someone that you can connect with from a perspective of you can have that referral? Do you have your ideal client in front of you, or are you with someone that you can collaborate? So understanding who you're talking with is very important to making sure that you're using your time efficiently. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for your valuable time.
Thank you.
Donna?
Carmelle, where are you physically located?
I'm in Virginia. I'm in the Hampton Roads area.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to be
So
down
you're
there
close
soon.
to
Maybe
Donna.
we can grab a quick coffee.
Yeah, we can do a virtual.
I'm going down there to meet some clients soon. So yeah, what's your phone number?
You can reach me at carmelleg@bellejulz.com.
Okay, I'll send you an email. Is your email also on your Facebook page?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Are you on LinkedIn?
I am. Carmelle G.
Okay. Because I think I know some women that could benefit from talking to you. And you're in a great area for you and I to collaborate because it's a military area and I have friends down there. So I was never stationed in the Hampton Roads area, but I know people down there. So yeah, so we'll see if we can get some work going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, Donna Four, New York Life. Been with the company about 4 years. I do have a good business among women and men. I would say I have more women than men, probably just because a lot of women relate to me. A lot of my clients are in the 40 and above, say demographic. I've analyzed my business to find that out. It's not that I don't try and work with 20 and 30-year-olds, but at that age, it's hard for them to see the relevance of buying life insurance, even though it's extremely affordable in your 20s and 30s, but they're just still getting themselves together and developing their own, priorities, I guess. So I'm working on that. But for top sales meetings, a lot of what I'm going to say will parallel what Carmelle said. I think that idea of having an agenda or a plan in mind before you reach out to somebody, either via email or phone call, is hugely important. First of all, you don't want to look like you're not together yourself. So having that agenda keeps you on task and keeps you from having a telephone call that kind of rambles around. So if you have an agenda, then that won't happen, right? Also, I think you have to have a succinct message. What are you trying to tell people about yourself? What do you want that person to know about you, when you hang up the phone call? What will they remember about you, right? So you have to have a very succinct and potent message, have an agenda, succinct message. And the third thing is you have to be a really good listener. If you're talking about yourself and your business the whole time, you won't get a chance to find out what's on their mind. The top thing I want to find out is what's keeping that person up at night? What's bugging them? What's something that's been in the back of their mind? They keep going, I need to take care of that thing, and that thing is my 401k, or it's my life insurance, or it's the fact that, I don't have any real savings. I need to figure out a way to get savings in my portfolio. Whatever that thing is, you have to get to the root of it. So sometimes you have to let people just kind of, tell you about themselves and their family and where they're at with their business. And then some things will kind of roll out, so I just let people kind of talk as long as they want to talk. So agenda, good message, and listening. That's my tips. So thanks.
Very good.
Esther, can you introduce us, tell us about your book, and then tell us about your tips?
Oh, well, yes. I'm the evangelist Esther Ferrara, and tell you the truth, I hail from Kokomo, Indiana, and I'm down here in North Carolina because my husband had been in the Air Force, and before he retired and is deceased now. But I tell you what, that's what prompted the book. Tell you the truth, the first book, the Lord had me in mind about the life of a military wife, and I tell you, but with this book, the military life is right dead in the middle, or chapter 5. If you ever get the book, please do not divert from that chapter 5, the military chapter. Now, what I say about that, the name of the book, Esther's Anointed Such Times, TIMES, Times. And the subtopic is Touching the Scepter of God. Now, there's been a lot of us spiritual scepter touching, believe me. And once you read the book, you will see it. And it's a compilation of everyone that I identify with out there in this world. And I say that all the time because you must be able to find something that will help you. I'm telling you that my life might not be lived in vain. Amen. Now, the way you can reach the book, however, look, I always have a book or two with me everywhere I go. But now, tell you the truth, I'm most of the time giving them away. But oh my God, so you can tell it's not about money with me, okay? Whatever the Lord's will is afterwards, fine. Now, the book you can find, the ISBN number 978-1-64082-6 783-7. And it can be ordered from any bookstore. Now listen, that ISBN number, sometimes you might not need it in Amazon, but however you order your books, or et cetera, whatever, go to Amazon especially. Barnes and Noble, they're just too expensive. I wouldn't dare want nobody to spend a $23 for this little book. but you know what?
Esther,
Yeah.
tell us the name of the book. Tell us the name of the book.
Okay, again, listen to me now, because I just told you. Listen, Esther's Anointed Such Times, TIMES, okay? And the subtopic is touching, now listen, this is the main reason. The subtopic is touching the scepter of God. Now, everybody thinks they know the book of Esther, but you're going to find out. Today's church age, we sure need the touching of his scepter today. Amen?
Amen. Amen.
Okay.
Amen. And Esther comes to speak to the club on the 28th of September. Esther's going to talk about this very book on September 28th at 8 p.m. So if anyone's watching this and wants to see Esther, and Donna comes up on Monday with a very important topic called estate planning and wills and managing your finances. So that's on Monday at 8 p.m. this Monday, the 21st. So we're looking forward to all the events, and I'm trying to get Carmelle to speak again on the 30th, so she has to confirm that.
Okay.
And Elton, my tips. Okay, so I am Elizabeth Claire Brewington, and I am a marketing professional. I do anything from social media to helping you win clients. I am a network marketer, and I learned the secret of networking, which changed the way I market. And I have a club which meets every Monday at 8 p.m. and on Wednesday at 2 p.m. So I hope you will all join us, and we do this every single week during COVID. If we ever cancel the Zoom, we still do a Facebook, or we do a one-on-one coaching with one of our coaches. We have an online directory. We just launched our newsletter. So there's tons of ways that you can advertise and market through our network. So we're so glad that you joined, and we have VIP groups on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. So that's who I am.
Well, my name is Elton Brewington.
Hey, Claire?
And
Yes?
Okay.
Donna?
I just got a thought in my head, so I have to say it as soon as I get it. I'm sorry. I'll lose it.
Go ahead.
So, by the way, today's my birthday, y'all. Did I tell y'all that? Today's
Oh,
my birthday. I'm not going to tell you
Happy birthday!
all
And you're matching me. We're wearing the same clothes. Well, let's sing.
Okay.
Okay, let me turn the recording off.
Let me close mine out. And then we'll go.
And then we'll sing happy birthday.
Right.
We're matching. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Elton Brewington, and I am a media marketing engineer. And I have been in the industry for 20 years. And it's my pleasure to be with all of you today. Such lovely ladies, and Douglas, he was there. And the focus that I find it a pleasure and a privilege. They say that if you combine your true intent of service, and you also have a great arsenal of tools, and also you build great relationships, you'll never work a day in your life. You'll never work a day in your life. And because you love what you do, you're doing great work, and when you're doing that, and we're on our way someplace. We're on our way someplace, and I'm excited about post-COVID. As long as I don't get sucked up with COVID, I'm excited about the post-COVID opening and the new dimension and direction for the world. And so it's just a great time. So I encourage you. You're going to have a great year. To the finish of the year, you're all going to have such a great year. I believe in that.
Okay.
And with that said,
we're going to stop the recording, and then we're going to sing happy birthday to Donna. Okay, hold on.
Right. Okay. All right, Donna. Gosh,